Hola, hola, hola. Dice, qué raro. Aló, ahora sí. Ojalá haya gente viéndolo. Yo creo que estamos como para ir al jueguito. Válido. No sé quién se me recuerda. Hola espectadores, hola. ¿Quién llegó? Sorry si no estoy hablando mucho, estaba esperando que llegara gente. eh, manifiéstese en el chat, a ver quién es. Voy a leer los mensajes. A ver. Tenemos dos personas que están viendo. Voy a hacer una pequeña intro de qué es lo que es este juego. Este juego es el Stanley Ultra Deluxe. El Stanley Parable básicamente, no sé si han visto la película. ¿Cómo se llama esta película? Bueno, no puedo acordar cómo se llama la película de este compadre. Es la historia de este weón que vive y que está como constante. Está viviendo en una simulación básicamente. Es como el protagonista de una serie, pero no me puedo acordar del nombre de la película. No me puedo acordar cómo se llama. Es la. Oh, estoy con la mente en blanco. Ya, filo. Detalles. La cosa es que este juego es básicamente lo mismo. Es como una simulación en la que tú tienes que guiar con un narrador. Y este narrador te dice qué es lo que se supone que hace el personaje. Pero tú tienes libertad de hacer lo que tú quieras. Entonces puedes ir desbloqueando muchas cosas, puedes ir haciendo diferentes finales, puedes ir haciendo diferentes, alternando diferentes opciones entre teoría. Entonces el juego es muy variado, tiene muchas cosas y es muy entretenido. Entonces, nada, vamos a partir, yo creo. No sé si el Mati está viendo. Mati, si viste, por favor comenta, porque me siento solito Yo sé que uno de los espectadores soy yo porque estoy siguiendo el stream para ver si la weá se ve bien, pero me siento solito. Soy una periodista. Sí. Tiene que decir él fue bastante bien con el stream de UFC. Como que hubo harta gente que lo vio, parece que estaba bien entretenido en general. Igual está en un Discord por si alguno de los chiquillos que si son mis amigos que también se quieren conectar para y eso, ya. Vamos a iniciar partido para que el que está viendo que es una persona solamente pueda ver de qué trata el juego.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Bueno, esta es la oficina de Stanley. Ahora estoy siendo Stanley. La gracia de este juego es que todos los personajes, o sea, el personaje de Stanley es muy... ¿Cómo saltaba acá? ¿O no saltaba? Ya no me acuerdo los controles, a ver. Interactuar, pausa, agacharse, moverse, mirar. No se salta. Bueno. ¿Cómo se puede interactuar con las cosas? Ay, voy a ver si puedo hacerlo con el teclado mejor. A ver si es más sencillo que con teclado. Bueno, vamos a jugar con teclado nomás. Y quizá lo que Dios quiera. Me estresa. Voy a jugar con control nuevo. Ya voy, bueno.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dice que tengo que ir a la... Ya, esto es una cosa que podemos hacer. Acá el personaje dice que... O sea, el narrador dice que podemos ir a la sala de reuniones. Pero yo no quiero ir a la sala de reuniones. Así que podemos probar qué otras cosas podemos hacer. Y a ver si cambia alguna cuestión.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Bueno, y la cosa es que el narrador igual es un personaje, no es solamente narrador de la historia. Entonces igual es entretenido. Like, work. I just hate my boss. ¿Qué dice ahí? Smile. Number one dad. Porque hay solamente para una cuestión para sacar para sacar punta aquí, bueno. Igual creepy. I hate Mondays. No puedo agarrar estas weas, ¿no? Pues sigamos. No puedo hacer nada. No puedo abrir las puertas. Lamentablemente las puertas acá no se abren. ¿Puedo cerrar esta puerta? La gracia es que tú en teoría puedes interactuar con todas las cosas que están en la oficina. Así que igual es simpático el tema. No puedo abrir nada. La gracia es que acá las oficinas son casi todas iguales, entonces de repente uno puede pensar que se está dando vueltas en círculo con este juego. Yo me acuerdo que jugué la versión normal, esta es la Ultra Deluxe, o sea, en teoría tiene más contenido, así que podemos ir descubriendo unas cositas que yo no sabía que existían. Por ejemplo, allá se ven cosas. ¿Puedo abrir acá? No. ¿Puedo romper la ventana? ¿Cachai que hay una puerta ahí? Y hay un caminito. ¿Puedo pasar? No. Eso es lo que Dios quiere. Ya. Se toca todo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
La puerta de la izquierda. No, la de la derecha.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Todo desordenado acá. Yo me acuerdo que la vez que jugué este juego yo no estaba jugándolo directamente, lo estaba jugando una amiga. Y yo le estaba diciendo las cosas que hacer en el juego. Así que no me acuerdo de tantas cosas y no me acuerdo de haber visto tanto el juego. Es súper creepy esta oficina, man. Siempre tiene weas como muy vacías, como que se supone que esto es una sala de reuniones, pero tiene puras sillas, no tiene ni siquiera una mesa. Y no me abren más encima. A ver. Pobre persona que trabaja sola en... Bueno, igual de repente va a estar en una oficina solito, ¿no? Nadie lo huevea, así tú pegas tranquilo.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Lo que yo no entiendo es que este juego siempre te cierra las puertas cuando tú pasas. No te podés devolver, o si por ejemplo te decidiste por una cuestión y después te arrepentís, no te podés devolver.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room.
Sí,
A
vale la
room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
A ver.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality.
Pero porque
It's
hablé mal de-
possible that this is why everyone left.
Julián te echa la culpa porque todos se han ido, weón. Ya. ¿No les ha pasado que si ven un pasillo así no les da miedo?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Julia, bueno. Bueno, lamentablemente no hay mucho que hacer acá. Vamos a ver si el narrador tiene algo más que decir o si esa efectivamente fue la última línea de diálogo que me va a decir. Ya, vámonos.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Este juego es muy creepy. Esa es la, este juego de repente es muy creepy, pero al mismo tiempo es muy entretenido. Y la gracia es que el juego igual dura poquito, no es tan eterno tampoco, así que... Ya, ¿qué hacemos? Nos cruzamos acá. Entro aquí. Aquí no quiero pasar porque me cierran las puertas, está bueno. Por acá.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Como que igual un botón rojo da medio miedo, pero vamos a démosle. Si te les pasara eso.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Bueno, este juego de repente es muy creepy. A ver, primero voy a hablar en el Discord, a ver si hay gente que le interese la existencia de este stream. Vamos a chat con subs. No. Estoy en stream. Por si quieren pasarse. Jaja. Se hizo lo que se pudo. Igual este juego de repente es medio... Ahora jugarlo solo. Yo no pensé que iba a estar solito en el Discord. Pensé que iba a haber más gente. Pero bueno. Al menos... puedo seguir jugando. Ah, pero ¿por qué me cierra todas las puertas, weón? Ya, bueno, sigamos el camino, culiado, que nos quiere...
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Me gusta que me van a acercar y me van a
No,
acercar.
not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Un autito. ¿Subirlo? Ah, qué creepy. Ay, ¿por qué?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
¿Y me hace reiniciarlo? ¡Ay, qué rabia! Ya, eso suele pasar. Este juego, de repente, cuando no seguís las instrucciones de este weón, te hace volver al punto de inicio. Puede que a veces haya cosas diferentes. Eso es igual importante tenerlo en cuenta. No siempre va a ser lo mismo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
En este final. Sigue estando la cuestión acá. Voy a esa pantalla, a ver. ¿Qué hice? Está cargando algo. ¿Por qué no lo puedo volver a aprender? ¿Por qué? Vamos a hacerle caso esta vez al compadre a ver qué nos dice. Puedo poner un... Mostrar etiquetas de objetos. Mostrar advertencias de contenido. Todo de baja destreza. Cambiar automáticamente. Cambiar automáticamente alternar. Hay una cuestión que quiero ver si puedo poner el puntero de la weá en el... Pero no sé si se puede. Voy a estar acá. Mostrar la retícula. ¡Ajá! Ahí está. Lamentablemente... ¿Puedo volver a prender? No, este no era. No, era. A ver. Surname. Access. La vaya. La pregunta es, ¿puedo volver a prender? No. Vamos a hacer lo que dice nuestro querido narrador, a ver qué nos depara el futuro. Ya, bien, acá cambia la cosa, porque acá se supone que tú tenés que decidir entre dos puertas, pero acá yo digo que está todo cerrado. Eso es algo que cambió este juego. Al que está viendo, porque hay una sola persona viendo el stream. Pero...
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Ya, acá se pone interesante porque... Vamos acá. A ver qué pasa. Vamos. Este juego es muy creepy de repente. ¡Ah! Tengo miedo. Y eso que este juego no es de miedo, wey. ¿Cómo volví?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before.
A ver acá.
Do we need to restart the game again?
No.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Puta la wea, me reinicio de nuevo. Ya, seguimos siendo el 427. No ha cambiado, dice I hate Mondays. No he escrito nada acá. Una cuestión, sí. A ver. El Andy, ¿cómo está el Andy? Bien, acá transmitiendo el Stanley Pobre. Si quieres verlo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Jugando el Stanley Parable por si quieren ver el stream. Estoy jugando el Stanley Parable por si quieren ver el stream. Estoy streameando por si acaso. Y no sé si creo que se escuchan, así que... No se escuchan. Ahora deberían escucharse. Sí, ahora se escuchan. Si no voy a parecer un esquizofrénico hablando solo.
Lo eres.
Ya. Todavía no. cambiado nada en el juego. Ya. A ver, hermano, ahora no hay puerta, weón.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ya, a ver. No es. Ahí creo que está un final con un loop infinito. Pero bueno.
Aha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Ay, no, qué creepy. No quiero pasar. No hagáis esto, narrador. No hagáis esto.
No, juego de terror tampoco.
Qué weón, da miedo. Está todo hecho mierda.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
The Stanley Parable.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
¿Envió algo acá? No. Oye, pero yo no podía pasar por acá adelante. Ya, bueno, vamos.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though,
Hacia el destino.
here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
Bien hecho.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
No le creo ni una hueá que sea importante esta cuestión. Ya, listo.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
No. Stanley Parable Adventure Time.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
Ya, pero la línea desapareció. Yo no puedo escalar al techo. Línea.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Muchos saludos.
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
El final de la confusión.
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Ah, ¿qué pasó? Hola, Mao, ¿cómo estás? El Fabricio. ¿Se habrá iniciado todo?
Y aquí también. No sé si
Pa,
estáis
no
con el
hablas.
chat como topo, ¿no?
Dice que no hablas. Pero según yo me escucho.
Escucháis, pero estáis como con el delay, po. Entonces no te escucha al mismo tiempo.
Ah, puede ser. Puede ser.
Un delay de 1 minuto o algo así.
Ah, ya. Ya, pero sí me escucho en el stream.
Sí.
Ah, ya, buenísimo. Ah, sí, es que el mouse me asustó. Y ahí el narrador, güey, se murió.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Ah,
What
se
could it
reinició el
mean?
vídeo. ¿Ya?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Dos de los reinicios. Awaiting input. Si te escuchas, pero estás muy callado. Ah, es que estoy calladito porque estaba dejando hablar al narrador y en un momento me callé. Pero es que estoy tratando de ¿cómo se llama esto? También dejar que se escuche el narrador del juego. A ver.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ya, vamos a hacerle caso a ustedes. Vamos a la puerta de la izquierda, boludo. ¿Qué habrá por hacer aquí?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Not cost efficient. Who moved my desk? Get Chris out of the room closet. Hire someone to senior yes papers. Fire paper guy. ¿Por qué van a despedir a la pobre persona de los papeles? Contratar a alguien para despedir a la persona de los papeles. Mañana. Completar hoy día. O sea, completar todas las cosas que no se terminan hoy día. Escribir las cuestiones del día siguiente. Reflexión. Hay rango en el que incrementan. Ah, pero please no more charts, please. No. It was appreciation minutes. Ya, tenemos que apreciar al jefe. Ya, bueno, sigamos. Un closet. Sudar.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
No botaban nada, ¿no?
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Ya, po. No, cierra la puerta. Ya.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ay, no, qué miedo. Mucho mejor, mucho mejor. Oye, ahora dice que está viendo a una persona. Qué sad. Vaya ejecutivo. Oh, no me puedo ver en el espejo. Triste. Ser rico. ¿Es un crimen? cometer crímenes. No es rico. ¿Qué vida la que sería si solamente tuvieras que elegir uno? No sé, ahora está portando. Carajo. Tremenda oficina la del jefe, sí, po.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
El código, weón. 2845, ya, tengo que acordarme de eso. Mi pregunta es por qué este weón dice... Ahí te vendo techo.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Julio creepy, weón.
Sí.
Me voy a esconder acá. No quiero saber nada más de la vida. Ayuda.
Bájame.
Imagino que vamos a llegar de nuevo a la cuestión de las pantallas.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Subir allá. Parece que puedo volver a subir. Ah, qué miedo. ¿Qué? Este lugar es tan creepy.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
¿Y por qué querría entrar al lugar de centro de control mental? Y si me... Escape, ya, me voy. Chao, hasta luego.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ah, ándate a la cresta, no voy a encontrar mi muerte. Voy a encontrar mi salvación acá. Hasta luego.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No me voy a devolver.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Esto es como los sueños culiados. ¡Ah! A ver. Ahí tengo que saltar acá. Uy, qué miedo. No, ya me devuelvo. Me devuelvo ya. Qué triste. No quiero arriesgarme a morir. Ya. Este pasillo es como los sueños culiados cuando vais caminando y sentís que no avanzáis. Este pasillo da como la misma sensación. Es como que estáis en una caminadora.
Corriendo.
A 2 por hora. Sí. Corriendo infinitamente.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
Chistosito, maldito bastardo. Ya, a ver. ¿Qué tiene el centro de control mental?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
O sea, ya estoy acá, pues, bueno, quiero... El Mati, llegó el Mati, qué bonito. Está viendo el stream. Ya, pero no se ha aprendido nada, pues, weón. ¿Cómo se aprende? Ah, acá. No lo había visto. Soy un tonto. Tengo 3 botones. Cámaras. Ah, no, tengo un botón. Estoy puro weando. Más encima conté mal, weón. Dije 3 botones y eran 4. No puedo tocar nada acá. No. Ya, vamos a apretar el botón.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Yo sé que estuvimos vigilados constantemente, pero ahora tengo un narrador en la cabeza, no es como que no me siento observado. ¿Dónde tengo que ir? Acá. Escribí suena todo esto. Cajita. ¿Dónde está el 427 que soy yo? 427. Ahí estamos. Efectivamente es la oficina. A ver, veamos si el despedido muestra algo. Ah, sigue mostrando cositas. Ah, bueno. Vete acá.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Sí, puede ser. Es una teoría.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Y está tratando de decir cómo esto era parecido a Truman Show, pero no tenía.
There was the proof,
No me acordaba del
the
nombre de la
heart of
película.
the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ya, a ver, veamos. Vamos si efectivamente puedo hacer lo que dice. System power. Vamos a apagar. Ya, pero estoy en negro ahora, weón.
Así.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
Echaron esta actriz argentina que
Was
vivía
it
no sé
over?
qué país, weón. Y se está funando porque trató un...
Yes, he had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's
Ay,
command.
sí, algo caché.
Freedom was
Estaba
mere
jugando algo,
moments
sí,
away.
eso caché.
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do,
Quedarse con la duda de qué
or
es lo
how
que
to
pasó
feel.
ahí, no, yo no podría.
Whatever life he lives,
tendría que saber
it will
sí o
be
sí.
his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth
En el
knowing.
juego, es que
Stanley
el juego dice
stepped
como...
through the open door.
Estoy reaccionando a lo que dice el narrador del juego.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
No, y ahora
This
no puedo
was exactly the way,
Igual sería
right
entretenido poder
now,
controlarlo.
that things
Sería-
were meant to
Sería
happen.
simpático, oye.
And Stanley was happy.
Fuck.
Beat the game. Me di vuelta el Stanley Parable.
Así que,
Qué fácil. Qué entretenido, oye. No dice nada. Vamos.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
¿Cambió
mean?
algo? Sí,
Stanley
no le
decided to
pasé.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Sí, va a ser el 427, sí. Ya. Sigamos dando vueltas, pues bueno. Input, sí, sigue siendo lo mismo. New content. Vamos a new
Oh,
content.
new content? What does that mean, new content?
¿Cómo no va a saber qué significa new content, weón? Contenido nuevo, weón. ¿Qué más? Ajá.
oh,
Ojo,
Y-
A ver qué nos
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra
Ah, esto
Deluxe.
es como un video. Esto es un.
As you may know,
una
the
reacción del
Stanley
juego-
Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Esto es como un.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Qué creepy, weón. Es demasiado creepy todo esto.
Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Me quiero volver.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe
Yeah, man.
content.
Será. Se hizo lo que se pudo. Vámonos.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
¿Y puedo subir o no?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we
Ya, pero sube.
Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Ah, nueva aventura, sí.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Ajá. Acá está. Yo estaba viendo la pared de ladrillo, casi inmenso. ¿Y esto es?
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
¡Ah, puedo saltar! A ver, vamos a saltar las veces que falta. 30, 29, 28. Salta, mierda, salta. Vamos a hacer todo el ejercicio que no hago en la vida real. Vamos, démosle. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. ¡No! Y yo no puedo saltar. No, seriously, we disabled it. No, qué triste. Y ahí no hay nada acá. Ya, veamos qué
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Sigamos.
En corto.
Thank you, Faye. ¿Me estáis weando que eso es todo?
That's it?
Duró una
Oh, you've
hora
got to be
25.
kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks, just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
No. Que no. Pero puta la wea, me reinició, weón. Ya, pero ahora me tiró para cualquier parte, hermano. ¿Dónde estoy ahora?
Psst! Stanley! Come over here!
No.
In the vent!
No.
I want to show you something. Oh.
No.
You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you?
Nah,
Well,
vamos,
fine.
sorpresa
You're a
culiada.
dork anyway, so who cares? Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Miedo. Sí, Coffee. Ajá.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Esto era el Elden Ring.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Buenos tiempos. Pero ahí hay alguien. ¿Quién sacó esa foto? Let's begin again. Igual creepy, ¿no? Stanley Parable, Steam. Ah, eso es cuando salió. Stanley Parable Demo. Ay, qué bonito. ¿Y por qué hay el primer dólar que ganamos, me imagino? Eso es todo. Un juego de New York Times 2013. No les creo nada que haya salido ahí. Ángeles Times, Stanley Parable Deals Tough Choices. ¿No puedo pasar para acá?
Je suis dans la memory zone. C'est cela.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
¿Y eso era todo? Memory Zone Maintenance. No puedo abrirlo. ¿Para qué me dan esa escalera si no puedo abrirla?
Está en español, coño, qué bajo.
¿Qué cosa? Ah, una película.
Vaya. Sí.
Tienes para programar. Then this never.
Listo, entonces usted.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Historia.
¿Dónde salgo ahora?
Estoy viendo si es que...
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Ajá.
But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Final de la escalera.
Wait, hang on.
Escaleras.
I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Tipo, se pone cada vez que los jugáis de nuevo se pone cada vez más raro, ¿no? Pero bueno, sigamos con... Se supone que estos todos... De nuevo lo recomendado. ¿Qué dice?
Okay, let's see what this one says.
Y ahí el juego...
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure, like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Pero cada vez siento que voy avanzando a un lugar peor, güey.
Ya se escucha.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Espera ahí un poquito, Andy.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption...
Gracias.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with...
¡Uy, se fue! ¡Se murió! ¡Ay, no! Increíble. Y ya no hay nadie. ¡No! A ver, ¿sí salto? ¿Y eso que suena qué? Es como una alarma. No, chao, me dio miedo.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said...
No, volví a estar solo. Ya, po.
The end is never the end, 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 is never...
¿Ya yo se lo doy? ¿Diré yo? Ya, po, habla. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Por qué está roto? Al fin luz. Pero no puedo salir, sí, po. Triste. Ha pasado demasiado tiempo. Clear, porque no hay nada. No hay nada. There is nothing. O me hace recordar al Silent Hill PT, man. Cada vez era como un loop.
¿No viste la oficina o qué?
No, weón, estoy en una habitación. A ver, parece que acá puedo salir. ¡Sí! Pero ahora estoy como en un desierto, man. No, botoncito. Dame la posibilidad de dar vuelta al tiempo. No. Ahora siento que estoy en el Mad Max, man. dividida en 2 partes hasta el momento, pero faltan más partes.
Aunque sea por eso. Ya bueno.
¿Y se reinicia el juego? ¿Y eso era todo el contenido nuevo? Vagayampa.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No ha cambiado nada. Ya vamos a ver un final más. Y yo creo que hasta aquí lo voy a dejar este final, este juego, y quizás juegue a otra cosita. Porque aparentemente este juego no le ha ido muy bien. Ha tenido pocos espectadores. Es que es un juego antiguo y yo creo que no mucha gente lo conoce. Entonces igual como que no debe llamar tanto la atención.
Yo creo que cuando salió el...
New content. Nuevo contenido. ¿Le hacemos caso? Ya veo.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Dale que sea bueno.
Igual lo jugaron hartos youtubers famosos la primera vez que salió.
Sí, pero este juego salió hace caleta. Ya no es tan conocido como era antes, según yo.
No. Aparte que igual creo que duró un poco el como hype que tuvo.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Dije lo que tú dijiste, ¿viste? Tú tampoco lo escuchaste.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Es the sequel. Ya, a ver. TBH. No entiendo qué dice. Ah, es 2 en diferentes idiomas. Ahí está. Qué tonto. Pero
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Una película del futuro.
They are back. The
No,
Doors.
pero salió en 1980. Perdón.
Stanley Parable 2. Como para el... Ah, y ya está el logo.
¿Qué va a
Bueno,
pasar?
ya, destino final.
Stanley Parable 2, Stanley Parable 2.
¿Qué está pasando?
Sí. Oye, ¿hay 2 Stanley?
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Yo creo que nunca he visto esa palabra. ¿Sí como andamio?
The Stanley Parable 2.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Una de las el botón dice el nombre del jugador que está jugando el juego. No le creo ni una wea.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
No se lo dice. No le creo ni una wea.
Es como un
Sorry,
bastardo,
I
es
should have
como-
clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you... Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
¿Pero qué pasó con su familia? ¿Se murieron?
Yo creo que sí.
The Stanley Parable 2.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Igual la vieja terrible e inútil, como que lo agarró y para tirarlo al suelo nomás.
Ray Trace, in a good way. New features, new content, new ideas. ¿Este es un trailer para el Stanley Parable 2? ¿O es puro huevo?
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
¿Dónde están las opciones? Acá está. Feliz deseo
You know,
cumpleaños.
sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
A la moda, quizá.
Malditos. Ya, bueno.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
The jump circle.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then. Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Mira, este juego salió en 2022. Ya, bueno, filo. Me mintió, maldito. Bastardo.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
¿Qué hay acá? Can you find them? Can you find them?
Pero la pendeja estaba en el auto.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Ya, pues, pero déjame los coleccionables, pues, bueno. ¿Y eso es todo? Qué fome. Ah, no me puedo volver, ¿o sí? Ah, vamos a caminar a esa, no, bueno. Vamos, si llego. ¿Llego? Ah, sí puedo caminar. Ya,
Eso en este actor.
y ahora está el... ¡Ajá! ¡Ay, hay 6! collect them all.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Siento estafado porque está. Ah, dice salida. No quiero salir todavía. Quiero ver qué más hay. El Infinite Hole. A ver. Esta creo que es la entrada. Ya, the button that says gym. Ya, esto sí, esto ya lo vi. Ah, esa parte creo que no la vi. O sí. Ah, no, sí entré. Esto creo que es por donde entré, ¿o no?
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it?
No.
The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
¿Eso? ¿Y eso es todo? Qué fome. No tengo un balde.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Si de nada el balde culiado. Ah, no hay nada. Sí. Haz mundial de la configuración.
Pero quédate y
infinito,
aguanta
gratis.
la maldición.
Una noche.
No sirve de nada, hermano. Está lo infinito.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Démosle 10 segundos.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
¿No hay infinito?
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Eso antes no tenía techo.
El chino muere. El chino muere.
Stanley está triste, no.
Fue como la transición, weón. ¿No?
Está como...
Fue como drástica la weón.
Hay varios cambios que han sido así, creo.
Ahora vamos a la salida.
Como parte de la forma de contar la historia.
Ya era mentira la weá del arbusto, entonces ni siquiera está acá.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Si no va a pasar.
Okay. Are you ready? No. Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Una mierda.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Está peor, güey.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Una mierda. Stanley Parable 2.
Viento malévolo.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a
Sé
big
que te
building
referí.
where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-sinking, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Sí, igual tiene, en verdad. Mejor que te despiertes en la mañana que en la noche.
And then one day,
El globito, qué bonito.
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket.
Eso no estaba bien. Ahora el balde es mi amigo. Oye, no está la cuestión de nuevo contenido.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ah, vamos acá.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was no, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Buena pregunta.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Tiene buena acústica la casa.
No, said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't
Cacha que te iba
a
a decir que
bucket.
sonaba como eso.
Please, step in here for a minute.
Siempre que-
¿Qué pasó?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
A ver.
Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2.
Necesito haciendo una
Is
suya.
this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
A ver, siguiente.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
No.
Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
¿Cómo?
Fue distinta
Item...
la escena.
Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one.
No fue
Let me see.
distinta
It
la
should be
escena
around
de-
here somewhere.
Ya puedo.
¿Cuándo lo atropellaron?
¿En qué sentido?
Okay,
No
you
sé,
and I
como
both
cayeron
know
a la
there
nieve.
isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Sí.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Sí. Eres un balde.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No, déjame el
Okay,
balde.
here we go. What happened? Is everything gone?
Ah, este
Why
weón
did
borró-
everything disappear? Wait,
borró todo,
was
man.
everything a bucket?
¿Me puede esperar un poquitito?
Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
Sí, no soy
Oh,
un
this
balde.
is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right,
Eso es como la
here we
cuestión de
go.
las ardillas con Phineas y Ferb. No, miento, no era Phineas y Ferb, era Rick and Morty.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And
Déjame darles el
wait,
balde.
now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object? With coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
Ay, pero estoy dando vueltas
That's
así,
strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Y me desmayo.
¿Cachai? Hay un weón que sigo en TikTok que hace como videos de 1 minuto de terror.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Igual que le dice la gente. No,
Yo
yo
no
creo
me
que
llamo
está medio actuado, pero...
Mariella woke up on a day like any
Una cosa
other.
y un sentimiento.
She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
De 1 minuto.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
¿Y se acabó? ¿Y mi balde? No, perdí el balde.
Pero está media sus.
La luz también es amarilla.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Un poco expresivo el viejo, ¿no?
Cambió el diálogo. Viewing Finders Committee. Meeting today in the meeting room.
No quiero pasar esa casa.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Estará la figurine. Ok, we're fine. Bueno, ustedes.
Hay un poquito loco, viejo.
Ahora es psicóloga, weón.
What we know. Small foreign objects we heard. Senior resource. There was no memo from manager. Yeah.
Ella sabe, esa sabe
Bueno.
cosas.
¿Qué hace que floten en el aire? ¿Quién tomó estas fotos de ellos? Hay uno en el baño del jefe.
Sálvese mientras pueda.
Focus 5, estoy 416. ¿Pero quién es el empleado 316? Good luck. There will be a reward for finding them all. Dicen. I want them so much. I want to go home. I will be clean up this small bed. How are you? A 666 level. Large room. Lots of boxes. Some were both red and blue. Nearby fireplace. A private but smelly place for an important person. Gotta
Mi
collect
trabajo aquí está hecho.
fine. Just take it from me.
Igual es brígido cómo han cambiado la secuencia de los planos en las películas antiguas, weón. Habían planos muy ocupados que ahora ya ni se
Vamos a
ocupan.
salir al menú y lo vamos a dejar hasta aquí. Gracias a los que vieron el stream. Lo vamos a dejar hasta acá y probablemente vuelva jugando otro jueguito.